today I'm going to be talking about time boxing versus time blocking. And I'll admit I'm quite excited about this one because both of these approaches leverage a pretty cool thing that I'm a fan of called monotasking, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's the deceptively simple but powerful practice of arranging your time to ensure that you do one thing at a time. If you're a Flown member, you can learn more about that in the Flown Academy. So check out the link beneath this video. And if you're not a member already, why not? So time boxing and time blocking. These guys often get confused or conflated, a bit like canoe and kayak. But time boxing and time blocking are contrasting approaches to maximizing your time to basically get more stuff done. So what are they exactly? So time blocking involves putting specific chunks of time aside to work on something. Time boxing involves allocating finite periods of time to different tasks and activities across your workday. See, boxing is about putting limits on how much time you spend on tasks. Blocking is about protecting the time that you need to commit to work on a specific task. It's a subtle difference, but with some interesting implications. So, time boxing is all about the smaller actions, sprints, which means that you'll want to get into the habit of breaking projects and tasks down to fit within predetermined slots of time. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can go about doing this. Some prefer to break their day down into hourly intervals. Others will want to shift between varying the time intervals throughout the day. So you'll probably want to try out a few approaches before settling on one that you find will work best. Once you have your time intervals, you'll need a timer to hold yourself accountable, and then you basically take the tasks that you need to do and allocate them to those predetermined slots throughout your day. Now, I really love this approach. To me, it's basically a form of budgeting, but instead of the currency or resource being money, it's the most vital resource of all, your time. As I began to use this approach, I started to get a real sense of motivation from simply seeing myself move through the cadence of setting a commitment and doing it. Usually we determine our progress based upon outcomes and output, whereas time boxing allows you to really experience a sense of momentum and progress based upon input, which is way cooler because you have more control over that. You get to actually tick off each slot based on the fact that you followed through on whatever time commitment you'd actually planned to do. Charting your progress based on your input, the fact that you'll be working on a given task for a defined interval of time. This creates a motivational feedback loop that actually drives you toward the outcomes that you're hoping to achieve. From a procrastination standpoint, it's a very cool way of gaming the system. I did find some things that you'll need to consider when using it. First off, time boxing works best when you actually know how long a task takes. The first few times you use this method, you may end up like me and feel frustrated or thrown off course when the timer goes before you've got into the end of whatever task that you'd allocated to that slot. But one way to mitigate against this is through task batching. See, grouping together similar tasks or tasks that are actually connected to each other or to a single project will help to reduce the sense of mental whiplash or attention residue that you can experience when it comes time to move on to the next time slot. And using task batching is actually a good way to turn this disadvantage into a benefit of the system, because you can get a nice context switch every hour or so, it's one of those nifty little cognitive hacks. It's proven to aid creativity. The other thing is you need to be mindful of how your energy is going to be managed for the time and the tasks that you're actually boxing. See, typically we're capable of 4 hours of focused deep work a day. So you'll want to develop a strategy for what you do and when and how much of it that you actually do as well. Now, again, you'll find more on how to do that on the Flown platform. So if you're a member, go and check it out. If you're not, you can join for free using the link beneath this video. On to time blocking. I'm just going to say from the jump, time blocking is great for meaty projects, especially creative ones. Anything where you need to be able to shut off from the noise and go really deep. You just take whatever project you've got to get done, schedule or block the time you need to work on it and get busy. And the cool thing about this approach is it's great for focus and it's relatively simple. And I'm always a fan of simple. That said, you will want to put some thought into how you get started with it. So a couple of key things to think about. protect your block. I've always wanted to say that. So you need to be really specific about what you're going to be working on. Slippage is easy here. So don't just be like, I need to work on my website. Try to get a bit more granular. Which element of your website do you want to work on exactly for that block? Like the copy for your homepage, the design, the SEO. Without that specificity, I found it was easy for me to become a little bit unfocused. Like sometimes you're going to be writing a blog and the research takes you down unexpected rabbit holes that are still going to be useful. But you just don't want that kind of thing to be happening all the time if you intend on actually getting stuff done. The other thing I found was it's important to be mindful of how much time you need to block. And I don't just mean how much time do you need for the task. I mean, how long can you handle in deep work mode? Like 1 hour, 2 hours, 3? You'll want to find your sweet spot and take that into account too. Now, what I will say is I really loved the time blocking approach. It just felt calmer. And I found that the more that I did it, the easier it became. It was just a good balance for me, especially if I was doing something creative, like writing a blog or an article. For me, my sweet spot tended to be around about an hour of this that I felt I could be genuinely productive for. Beyond that, I think my focus would start to wane a little bit, begin to die a not so slow but pretty sad death. And I'd start staring pointlessly at my task list. I'd want to look at my phone, just become genuinely unproductive. So I got into the habit of blocking a couple of hours at a time with a mid-sesh 10-minute break. And that seemed to work pretty well for me. Overall, time blocking works really well if you have a longer term goal that you don't need to complete in the session. You turn up, you do the work, you can get pretty immersed, it feels flowy, but you do need to be specific with your goals and you do need to have a plan. One does not simply walk into Mordor, like victim here. And it's great if you've got multiple tasks that you need to work on. Like that ping from your timer just gets you going. So I think both of these techniques are really effective tools. It just depends on what you're working on. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments. I always read them. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe.